Welcome learners. So in today's online session of Swayam course, I am going to discuss about the solar photovoltaic fundamentals or solar PV fundamentals. I am Dr. Rakhi Sharma from School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. So learners, after going through this session, you will be able to answer what is a solar cell, what is a photovoltaic effect, how is a solar cell made, how does a solar cell work, why do we need solar module or solar array, what is the various important characteristics of a solar cell. Then you will also know about the solar cell module specifications, details. So learners, now what is solar cell? You are very much familiar with this word. Sometimes we say solar cell, sometimes we say photovoltaic cell. So solar cell many times referred to as photovoltaic cell or PV cell. So this solar cell is an electrical device that converts the energy of light directly into the electricity by phenomena known as photovoltaic effect. And what is this photovoltaic effect? As its name implies, photovoltaic means light making voltage. Photo means light making voltage. So it is giving you some idea about this, what is happening. So photovoltaic effect is the creation of voltage and electric current in a material upon exposure to light. How is a silicon solar cell made? A solar cell is sandwich of two different layers of silicon. Silicon is a semiconductor material that have been doped so that will let electricity flow through them in a particular way. The lower layer of this silicon is doped in a way so it has somewhat very less electrons. It's called p-type or positive type. The upper layer is doped in the opposite way to give the considerable amount of electrons. It's called n-type or negative type silicon. So when we place a layer of n-type silicon on a layer of p-type silicon, a barrier is created at the junction of the two material between the p and n layer of silicon. Just like a p-n junction diode, you know, the p-type and n-type semiconductors are placed over each other. Then you can see here that the junction is formed. So just like a solar cell also, why do we need solar module or solar array? So you have heard all these words that solar module, sometimes solar panel, sometimes solar array. So what are these? So you know that the amount of the voltage potential difference created by a commonly used solar cell is about 0.5 to 0.6 volt only. That means solar cell is producing very less voltage. And now based on the application, you may have to increase the voltage. You would like to get a more voltage for a particular application. So since a solar cell is able to give only 0.5 volt, therefore we need to connect cells together to give more useful voltages, and this leads to the formation of solar module and solar array. That means using a solar cell, when we connect different solar cell in a particular way, so in the series, then we can get more voltages, 0.5 volt, 0.5 volt, 0.5 volt. Suppose it is connected in series, then you will get 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5 like this. That means you can increase the voltage. So in the module, these the connection of the solar cell is used so that we can get a desired voltage or current. In the case of the panel, suppose we would like to get more high voltages or the current, or we would like to get the power of desired value. So in that case, different parallel combination, series parallel combination is used in that case. So when we use the network or series parallel combination of these solar module, then we make the array to get the desired power from a solar complete solar array system. So photovoltaic module consists of numerous PV cells connected in series to give a higher voltage output. Just I mentioned, a module are manufactured in standard sizes such as 36 cell solar cell module, 60 cell solar cell module, 72 cell solar modules, etc. So the term solar panel or solar module is sometimes used interchangeably with solar module or solar panel. So photovoltaic array or PV array. So this PV array is a system composed of multiple PV modules. Just I said that how the module that array is made using the modules. So they can be connected in one or more series circuits which are connected to a combiner box to provide the single direct current output. You know that in the solar cell it gives a DC output. So using this solar module or solar panel, it also gives the DC output. So you can connect some load, DC load, to, which run on the DC current or DC voltage. Generally, solar cell is a current source. So learners, how does a solar cell work? So for this, you have to understand the concept of solar cell working. As shown in the figure, a solar cell is a sandwich of N-type silicon, which is shown here blue, and P-type silicon, which is shown in the figure as a red. And it generates the electricity by using sunlight to make electrons jump across the junction. So by this action, we can get the current, or we can make the flow of electrons to the external circuit. So here you can see the various steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just to understand the concept of the solar cell working. So what is happening here? So let's see what is happening as indicated in the figure steps 1 to 5. So one, as when sunlight falls on the cell, photons, which are called the light particles, bombarded the upper surface. So the photons, which is shown by the red box here in the figure, carry their energy down through the cell, and the photons give up their energy to electrons, the green bobs, in the lower p-type layer, in the third this indication in the figure. In the fourth, the electrons use this energy which it obtained from the photon to jump across the barrier into the upper N layer and escape out from the circuit contacts. Then in the fifth step, which is shown in the figure, the current flowing around the circuit, and the electrons make the that means the flow of electron makes the lamp light up. So learners, we can understand this concept here also, where I am showing the schematic cross-sectional view of a typical silicon solar cell. You can see in the figure where the p-type and n-type semiconductor are there, which you can see that the thickness of the p-type is more than the n-type, and the n-type semiconductor is very thin. It is only 1/4 micrometer as compared to the p-type semiconductor of silicon solar cell. And so the operation of a photovoltaic cell can be generally divided into the 3 basic steps, like optical or light absorption, then the charge separation, and then the charge collection at the contacts. So learners, the photovoltaic effect is the photovoltaic, that means the light making voltage. So we just from this figure we will see how it's the concept of the photo generation or generation of the current from this light. So first is the light absorption. Solar radiation, which is sunlight, the bundle of the light energy, photons, photons behave like a particles having zero mass and travel with the speed of light. These photons associated with different wavelengths of solar spectrum and have different energies. And according to the quantum theory, an electromagnetic wave or solar radiation is made up of discrete bundles of energy called photons, having energy E is equal to h nu. So where E is what? E is energy of the photon, h is Planck constant, which is 6.6 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second, and nu is the frequency. So this is a very common formula for this. The E is equal to h nu. So you can see that when we are increasing the frequency, we are getting the more energy. So solar cell is made up of semiconductor material. Photon strikes solar cell, may be either reflected, absorbed or passed through. So here you can see in the figure that the anti-reflecting coating is there. That means when generally over the cell or module, we just put the anti-reflecting coating. Why do we use this anti-reflecting coating? Because suppose the energy incident on this, some part of this light energy is reflected to the atmosphere. So what is our aim? Our aim is to get most of the energy get absorbed by the solar cell. So anti-reflecting coating is being used in the over the solar cell. So so photon strike solar cell may be either reflected, absorbed or passed through. So we want that more of the photons get absorbed by this solar cell. So photon which get absorbed transfer their energy to the electrons in the semiconductor. So when electrons or negative charge particles are able to leave their position, then holes are created. So whenever electron will leave its place, and there the holes are created. So charge separation, what is this? After this absorption of the photon, the charge separation takes place. So electric field at an p-n junction sweeps electrons to n side and holes to p side, so that their recombination is restricted. So when the large amount of electrons travel towards the front surface of the cell, an imbalance of charge between the cell's front and the back surface creates a voltage potential. Whenever you create the voltage potential, that means you can get the current. So when you get this kind of the charge particles, imbalance of the charge particles that between the front and back surfaces, then you can collect these charge at the contacts. So how it happens? That when collected carriers, electrons and holes at the front and back contacts are those that generate current. So the electricity flows when two surfaces or contacts are connected to the electrical load. That means when we make the closed circuit, then electricity will flow through the circuit. So in this method we get the current from the solar cell. Now to understand a solar cell, we have to know the various characteristics of solar cell. So current voltage characteristics best indicates the performance of solar PV cell. So therefore it is important to know the output voltage and the output current and their variation with respect to each other and the surrounding environment. So how can we obtain this in the lab, or how can we see that the variation of the voltage and current? I'm just showing one figure to you that which is indicating the measurement of solar cell characteristics. You can see here that one ammeter and the voltmeter is connected across the solar cell. Ammeter is connected in series to measure the current of the solar cell, and the voltmeter is connected in parallel to measure the voltage across cell. And one variable resistance is also being connected here by why do we use this variable resistance? That means we are changing the value of the resistance. That means we are changing the load. So the current and the voltage output of solar cell change as the resistance of the load changes. So So by this method we can observe what are the variations, in the current and voltage takes place when we change this resistance of, or we can change the, when we change the load. So maximum voltage called the open circuit voltage or VOC. OC means open circuit. So VOC is measured using an open circuit, as its name implies, open circuit voltage, where the resistance is at a maximum. So at this point the current is zero. Whenever you make the circuit open, that means you are making the current zero. So the electrical resistance is decreased. The electric current increases, you know this, and at the same time the voltage decreases, just from the Ohm's law, V is equal to I into R. So when the resistance is decreased to a zero value, or R equal to zero, the short circuit or ISC is measured. Short circuit current, ISC, you will know this term when you find the characteristics of the solar cell, ISC and VOC kind of things. So what is ISC? So ISC is that what? Short circuit current. At this point the voltage is zero. When you are making the short circuit, that means you are making the voltage zero. So you can see here the IV characteristics of a solar cell. A typical IV curve for solar cell is shown in the figure. At VOC, current is zero. At ISC, voltage is zero. You can see in the figure. When the current is zero, you can see at the vertical axis that or in this horizontal axis, which is indicating the VOC. So at the VOC, you can see the voltage is the current is zero. At this and at where the ISC is written, at that point you can see the voltage is zero. So here this is the change of current and voltage of the solar cell is being indicated by a VI characteristics of the solar cell. When you change the variable resistance, as shown in the figure, that voltmeter and the ammeter was connected. In that case, by changing the variable resistance, you can measure the variation in the current and voltages, and you can draw the characteristics. So you will see that what kind of IV characteristics you will get from a solar cell. So now the power curve or PV characteristics of solar cell. Once you get the IV characteristics, that means you are getting the relation between the current and voltage. So in the same time, you can get the relation for the power also. P is equal to V into I. So power produced by a solar cell is a product of voltage and the current for the particular operating characteristics. So you can see in this figure how the power is varying with voltage. So this is called a PV curve. Power is increasing with the voltage, and then at one point it is maximum, and then again start decreasing. So this is the PV characteristics of solar cell, and similarly the IV curve has also been shown here. So what is happening in the power curve or PV curve? You can say that P is equal to V into I. That means in the characteristics you can see P is zero when either I or V is zero, and this occurs at ISC when V is zero and VOC when I is zero. So the power generated by the PV module will also vary depending on the at what voltage this cell is operating. So it is important that the solar cell operate at or near the maximum power point, so that the power system has the highest possible output. So it would always be good if you operate this PV system at maximum power point. Because your aim is to get the maximum possible power from the PV system or PV cell or PV module. So this is achieved when the internal resistance of solar cell is equal to the resistance of the load. From the maximum power transfer theorem, if you have studied in the network, then you will know that how you can get the maximum power output. So as you see, the power curve of solar cell VMP is voltage corresponding to maximum power. In the curve you can see here that the where you are getting the VMP and IMP. That means these are the maximum power point, voltage at maximum power point. Then IMP is the current corresponding to the maximum power and PMP is the power at maximum power point. So PMP is equal to VMP multiplied by IMP. So one more term you will be familiar with the in case of this solar cell and solar module, the fill factor. The fill factor is a measure of how square the IV curve is. It indicates how well junction is made, and decrease in the fill factor may indicate some problem with the cell or with the junction. How we can represent a fill factor? So fill factor can be calculated as the ratio of VMP multiplied by IMP to ISC multiplied by VOC. That means VMP IMP divided by ISC VOC. So this is the ratio of powers you can see here. You can see, I will show you the one figure where you will understand what is happening, what is the fill factor, and how it is measuring that how square the IV curve is. It is always good if you get the IV curve in a square shape. So that means at the corner side, if you get some, if you get the square characteristics, that means the more good solar cell, or it's a solar cell of good characteristics you can get from the manufacturer. So ratio between the actual power, what is VMP and IMP? So this is the maximum power, and ISC and VOC is the this is also the maximum power when the we keep the circuit. ISC is what? ISC is the maximum power when the circuit is short circuited, and VOC is the maximum power when it is kept open circuited. So the ratio between the actual power, the maximum power point, which is obtained at maximum power point, and the ideal power, which is ISC into VOC, when the V and I maximum of the solar cell. So this gives the fill factor. So typical fill factor ranges between the 0.6 to 0.8 and are always less than 1. You will find here, because it is difficult to make a pure junction in the case of the PN, when we make the PN junction diode, or we can say when we make the cell. So just you can see one example, with the graph. I'm just showing you how you can see the fill factor here. So example of the ratio between the actual power, which is the darker brown area, and the ideal power, which is a lighter brown area of a solar cell. You can see here the lighter brown area is more, which is the VOC multiplied by ISC. This is the maximum power or ideal power it should be, and this darker brown is VMP multiplied by IMP. So this is the actual power which is we are getting from the solar cell. So this ratio, this gives the ratio of these two areas. This gives the fill factor. VMP multiplied by IMP divided by VOC multiplied by ISC. Now the efficiency of the solar cell. So the performance of the PV can be described in terms of its energy conservation efficiency. What is this? So the percentage of incident solar energy, which is the input energy, that the cell converts into the electricity under standard rating condition. That means what output we are getting and what input we are giving to the solar cell. So this ratio indicates the efficiency. So here, what is the input for the solar cell? This is the incident solar radiation over surface area. Suppose the surface area of the cell is AC, then AC multiplied by IT. This is giving the power. This is the input power to the incident power to the on the solar cell. AC is measured in the meter square, suppose, and IT is the intensity of the light. So this is watt per meter square. So learners, efficiency of a solar cell can be represented by the ratio Imax Vmax to AC IT. This is the actual power output divided by input power to the cell. Now you should know about the standard test condition. What is the importance of this standard test condition? So learners, you know that when the manufacturer gives the rating of the solar cell or give the different rating, different output for the voltage, current, power output of the solar cell, then under what condition they measure these output. So you should know that what is a standard test condition. So performance of a solar cell or module varies with the environmental conditions. What are these environmental conditions? These are the solar irradiations, solar radiation, or you can say temperature. So with these environmental conditions, the performance of the cell vary. So operating condition must be considered while considering the performance. At different places there can be the different temperature, different kind of solar radiation, or this solar radiation can vary. So but when we say that a module is given of having some VOC, some ISC, some value of the ISC, and it is specified, the rated value are giving, then these are given at standard test conditions. What are these conditions? So international standards for the testing are: the cell temperature should be taken 25 degrees centigrade, then irradiations are taken 1000 watt per meter square, air mass is 1.5. So whatever rated values are given, these are given at these environmental conditions, these standard conditions. So specification details provided at the back of the PV modules. So you can get some idea that what kind of the plate specification which is showing the specification details of the solar module. You can get it from this figure. So what are the various parameters which are being shown here in this specification plate? So suppose a typical module is there in this. So this module, the various ratings have been shown here. These all ratings are specified at STC, standard test conditions, of irradiance 1000 watt per meter square, T equal to 25 degrees centigrade, and air mass is 1.5. So maximum power at STC, that is P maximum. Suppose 100 watt module is there. So open circuit voltage for that module VOC is 21.7 volt. Then optimum operating voltage, which is called VMP, which I have already discussed. I have shown in the characteristics what is VMP, what is VOC, what is ISC, all these. So VMP is 17.7, which is somewhat less than the VOC, you can see here. Then short circuit current is 6.10 ampere. Then maximum system voltage is 600 volt. Then optimum operating current is 5.7 ampere, and the short circuit current is 6.10. You can see the actual current or optimum operating current is less than the short circuit current, which is ideal current. 6.10 is the maximum current, ideal current, and we are operating is the 5.70 ampere. So this is also indicated by the specification plate. Then you can see the fire rating. This is class C kind. Then weight of the module is also specified by the under the specification details by the manufacturer. So that even the dimensions are also mentioned there. That what is the length, width, and thickness or of this breadth of the module, and even the warning instructions are also given on the this specification plate of the module. So learners, now we will see that how these temperature and irradiance can affect a solar cell. So what is the effect of the environmental condition over the solar cell? So effect of temperature on solar cell. You can see here, I have shown it here from using this curve. With increase in the temperature, voltage of solar cell decreases. That means whenever you are increasing the temperature from suppose 20 degrees centigrade, 50 degrees centigrade, or 75 degrees centigrade. So at 75 degrees centigrade, you are getting the less voltage. That means voltage is decreasing. Suppose at 20 degrees centigrade you are getting some voltage, or 25 degrees centigrade you are getting some voltage. So at the 75 degrees centigrade, the voltage will get decreased by some value. So and current increases marginally in that case. So whenever you increase the temperature, so with the variation of the temperature, it is more affecting the voltage of the cell, and current is being affected marginally. So why it is happening? What is the reason for this? So temperature increases cause increase in reverse saturation current, IO. When you see the formula of the current and voltage in the solar cell, so you will find that you will get one term, reverse saturation current. So when the temperature increases, then reverse saturation current increases. So from the current equation of the solar cell, you will find that with increase in IO, VOC decreases. So ISC increases marginally. So voltage gets decreases, but ISC increases marginally. Why? Because due to marginal increase in the photo generation rate, when you increase, so because when the temperature increases, the photo generation rate also increases. However, very small temperature range, 25 to 65 degrees centigrade, can be ignored. But you can say that marginal increase in the photo generation rate may cause the slight increase of the current, but more temperature affect the voltage of the cell. So for a crystalline solar cell, the open circuit voltage is about 0.5 volt in general. So the voltage VOC is mentioned at 25 degrees centigrade, but at the temperature higher than 25 degrees centigrade, the value of the voltage drops merely by 0.08 volt. So that means with increase in the per degree centigrade increase in the temperature, the voltage also dropped by some value. Now we will see what is the effect of irradiance or solar insolation on the solar cell. When the intensity of the radiation changes, which falls on the solar cell, that in that case you will see that how it is affecting the current and voltage of the solar cell. So you can see in the figure, with increase in irradiance or solar radiation, solar insolation, the current of a cell increases. You can see when the this is watt per meter square, which is indication of the intensity, which is the unit of the intensity of the radiation. So when this is intensity is getting increasing, so here you will get that the current is also increasing, and the slight decrease in the voltage is observed. So what is the reason for this? So photon for which that is the incident light is what? Incident light is photon. So photon for which energy of the photon is greater than the band gap energy of that cell. That interacts with the electron in the covalent band and generate electron hole pair. So only photon which have the energy more than the band gap energy of the cell of the junction, then only that only can absorb by the cell, that can cross the junction. Increase in insolation cause increase in energy of photon. That means if you are increasing more radiation, or you are increasing the solar intensity over the cell, that means more you are increasing the number of photons over the cell. So this cause more electron hole pair generation, and photoelectric generation rate increases. So here learners, you can see the different kind of solar cell: the monocrystalline solar cell, polycrystalline solar cell, or thin film silicon PV cells. So you can see that the shape of the cell also, it is not necessary that this is the cell is only this kind of shape. It may be the circular also. So here, just for getting some idea, that I have shown here the monocrystalline, polycrystalline, and thin film PV solar cell, which are very much popular. So these cells you have seen in various places. So in general, you can see for the commercial purpose, a lot of polycrystalline and monocrystalline solar cells are used. And why do we use these cells, and what is the difference between these cells? You will come to know in the separate section where each kind of cells can be elaborated in a that what is the efficiency of the cell, how these cells are manufactured, what is why we are calling it monocrystalline, why we are calling it the polycrystalline. If we say that monocrystalline, that means it is all the in the crystal, these are the atoms are very arranged in a very ordered way. If we are saying the polycrystalline, then less order than the monocrystalline, and accordingly we get the efficiency of the different cells. So the conversion efficiency of various PV modules technology are I'm just indicating here for just for your understanding. You will find that the monocrystalline silicon cell this has the efficiency of 12.5 to 15%, which is the highest. Here you are seeing. So this then the polycrystalline solar cell, and this is having the efficiency somewhat less, 11 to 14%, and the copper indium gallium selenide cell 10 to 13% thin film cells are there. Then cadmium telluride kind of cell 9 to 12%. So multi-junction cells are also there. Then amorphous silicon cell 5 to 7% efficiency. So various kind of cells are available in the market, and which is being used as per the required application. If you want the higher efficiency cell, then you go for the monocrystalline polycrystalline cell. But when you get the high efficiency cell, that means the process also for manufacturing the cell is very complicated, so which increase the cost of the cell. So the polycrystalline cell, if you use, it will less that means the cost will be less as compared to the crystalline cell. So so when it depends upon the project. If it is a very large project, then to make a project feasible, then you can use the polycrystalline cell in place of the monocrystalline cell, and you can compromise. You have to compromise with the efficiency and the cost of the project. If you are making a solar plant or for the electrical power generation, then amorphous cells and thin film cells are there. If you want to have the flexible kind of cell, then thin film cells are used because they are very flexible as compared to other. So because of some in building some aesthetic look is to be given. In that case, the flexibility is required in the cell to make a particular shape. So in that time you can use a thin film cell, but you have to compromise with the efficiency, because efficiency is less as compared to mono and polycrystalline cell. Then various components used in when we make a solar PV system. So what are these various components? Like just in the figure, I'm just giving one idea that a very simple kind of PV system has been shown here, which is having the solar array, which is having the solar modules. Then charge controller is there. The battery is connected here. With the battery, the charge controller is there. Then because it is giving the DC power, so DC current, so one DC source is there. DC load is also there. Then inverter, or if you can use the AC load. When you use the AC load, then you have to use the inverter to convert the DC to AC. So this kind of component are used whenever you make a solar PV system. So now learn us what are the advantages of the solar PV system, because using all these components and we can make a solar PV system. So you know that the abundant solar radiations is available in most part of the India, and hence solar PV system can be used anywhere in the country. This is the one advantage. And the solar PV system are modular in nature, and hence they can be expanded. And suppose you make a small solar plant. If you would like to increase that plant, then because these are the modular in nature, you can increase the capacity or of that plant. Then there are no running costs associated with the solar photovoltaic system. So because the main fuel, which is the solar radiation, for the solar plant, so which is free of cost. So this is the clean source of energy. that is obtained from the solar radiation are obtained from the sun. So this is the best advantage of this solar PV system. Then electricity is generated by solar cells without noise or pollution. That's why it is called a clean energy source. There is no noise, no motor or generator kind of action is used here. The fuel is what? The fuel is sunlight. So that means there is no pollution is there. The clean energy. So PV system have no moving parts. Hence they suffer no wear and tear and have long operation life. A typical solar PV module has an effective life of about 15 to 20 years or 25 years. So a component of solar PV system are prefabricated, and hence these can be installed quickly. Therefore, PV projects have a short gestation period. So they require little maintenance. So these all are the advantages of having the solar PV system. It can be small, it can be big. It can be this rooftop mounted, or it can be the ground mounted. It can be of any size, small to big size. So now I am summarizing this session. So learners, in today's session we have discussed what is solar cell and the concept of the solar cell. Then what is solar photovoltaic effect. Then how is solar cell made. Then how does the solar cell work. We have also discussed about the need of module or array. So then cell, module, array, various forms we have seen. That why do we use module, why do we use array to get the desired rating or voltage or current or power. Then what are the various characteristics of a solar cell. We have seen that how the current and voltage changes with the environmental conditions. Then what is the power curve, how the power changes with the voltages. So all these characteristics we have seen in the solar cell. And then we have discussed about the specification details, which what are the STC conditions, standard test condition, and how the manufacturer give the specification details just back of the module. So all these details we have discussed in this session. Then in the next session we will discuss more about the solar fundamental, solar photovoltaic fundamental basically. Thank you.